All right, hey, I'm Brent for the drone recovery rover team, or I guess this isn't a part of.
It is, but that's fine.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I'm going to talk about the code with the sensor pad and the tower running here. So we're running on Python 3, and I'm using the struct library, the socket library, and the NumPy library as NumPy, simple like math and arrays.
Okay, what do those do? Struct?
So the struct is how we run all the structures. It's like the Python library.
Is it the one that does the C++ to Python conversion?
It's how we unpack the UDP packets.
Yeah, it's how we unpack the UDP packets from
okay.
C++.
Socket, I know what that is.
Socket is
UDP transport.
UDP transport is how we set the port and the IP. And then NumPy is just like the Python, math library. It adds all kinds
You're
of
not
stuff.
doing any graphics. There's no
Not doing any graphics, nothing like that. The only thing I'm using from NumPy is data val. I'm setting the array for all the data coming through.
Okay.
And I'm filling the array, and I'm setting the size of it initially. So we have the size of our array, and we have the slots, and I'm setting it full of empty values.
So we statically allocate all memory right in the beginning, right off the thing,
and then
for all the channels that we have running.
And then what's also helpful with NumPy, what it does is this none function in NumPy, what it's going to do is if you're missing data or something, when you get that array through, it'll say none, and it'll say it's missing.
Oh, I see.
So that actually helps a lot if you're missing data.
Yeah, in case something doesn't come through,
Yeah, so it'll literally just
And do we have
none.
data that doesn't come through sometimes?
We did, but it's fixed. Everything is fixed. It's all good.
So
we got it all
can
figured
write
out.
a test that sees that it doesn't do it, and that's something we want to do. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I could literally actually get rid of one.
So just keep going through the code. Just take us through what.
Okay, so this is the function fill_array.
Can you see all this?
So it's a while statement that we initialize these variables, and it basically says, so we have if the channel number is 0 for I in range 16, and what we had to do is essentially take all of the data 16 numbers at a time.
So you have an if all through every channel.
Yes, so the channel number is 0, and it's going to unpack the first 16 numbers, and then it's going to go back down to the bottom, and it's going to
So I might
refresh the
recommend,
data.
since you got 16, that you switch that to a switch case statement.
Okay.
The ifs can become a switch case statement. That's but I understand what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah, so it just fills it, and then once it gets all 0 through 1023 numbers, so then it moves on to channel number 1, fills it, number 2 fills it, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and then that's just the definition. Once it reaches the end, it tells it that it's done. And then there's another while loop that actually starts. So the original error we had before was it wasn't starting at the first bit of data. So this while loop is going to make sure that it's actually starting from the beginning.
When it starts sending, it's just
Once
streaming
it gets,
UDP.
Yeah.
And so you have to make sure that you sync to the beginning of the data stream, not at the end of the
because
data.
that was the error originally.
That's the way the sensor works. Once it starts taking data, it just streams data continuously.
Yeah.
And then when we want to read data, it syncs up on the first packet, doesn't sync in the middle, and then once it gets to the sync, and then it just starts absorbing it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's how I want the radar to work too, by the way. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay.
Basically,
Wade, I'm going to ask you to show us the data structures of what you're sending. So be prepared to do that. Okay.
okay. And then we can actually see it too and everything. So I can go
Okay.
ahead.
So now you're synced up. What do you do? I see you're unpacking. So these are all the data structures being sent over UDP at this point. Is that right?
Yeah. So that function. So it basically just again down here is just saying once it's at 0, once you're at the beginning of the packet, then run that function. Then it runs that whole function.
Okay.
Like I set up here. So it's it's
So
nested
once it's
loops.
synced, it runs the whole fill array function.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I go ahead and run it for you.
It's all in one script.
Plugged in.
Yeah. We were doing that before. I wonder if something got moved or if it's not plugged in.
All right, freeze your video.
Okay, just run it, and then there you go. And then
Okay, so what are we looking at?
he'll go ahead and pause it. So, and then the reason you get these dots is because it's just NumPy is just automatically just like so. You know, you get 0, 1, 2, and then dot dot dot. It's just saying it's